All right, what's up, guys? This is my first episode of Talking Cards with Garrett. And what I'm going to try to do with this show is bring players in from all around the world that play different card games, from One Piece to Fusion World to Larcana to Pokemon Magic, whatever it is, and really take a look at the player's mindset. Like, what does going to an event look like for them that day? How do they find advantages? How do they overcome certain things, like say your day wasn't good and you had a drop? How do you like bounce back from that? So taking a deeper look into card games essentially. And for the very first episode, I have a personal friend of mine and who I think to be probably the best One Piece player in the world right now, or at least in the conversation. And that's my buddy Jackson here. Jackson, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, Garrett. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. And I really wanted to do this with you because we got to know each other this year through One Piece. And it was really cool because we got to team up at a 3v3 after you kicked my ass at Gen Con. We were both 6-0, and then you had to make it to where I wasn't undefeated anymore. So thanks for that.
Yeah, I remember that match being a little bit closer than you're making it out to be.
Yeah, that's you being polite. But no, that was a lot of fun. And then we were able to link up for that 3v3 where we as a team went undefeated and walked away with some pretty nice hardware there. Nothing like your most recent outing though at Worlds. You want to give a little talk about that, man?
Yeah, so Worlds was this past weekend, like March 2nd. There are 16 people, basically two representatives, or one to six representatives from each region. I was one of two representatives for North America, because I got second at the North America finals, and I was able to finish third place overall. I was like second seed out of Swiss, but I lost in the semis in Top Cut. And I ended up winning my fourth place match and ended up third overall and winning a nice prize loopy card.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous card, and it's going to be worth a pretty penny as well. But I think what's really cool too is how you were able to attack that day, right? Because like you said, you did, I believe it was 5 rounds of Swiss, right? And then you went into Top Cut. What was it, like 4 hours later, 5 hours later?
It must have been. It felt like forever, but I think it was like 4 hours. And it was like similar to how Nats was, where it was like a 4 hour difference between the Top Cut and finals. So after that, like I learned a lot because my Nats finals performance was like terrible. Like I did so badly. I misplayed so much. And then after like Nats, after the Worlds, I realized we're gonna go through the same break. I'm like, okay, I know what not to do and what to do. Basically, just keep myself warm. Like don't get myself cold, and then don't get too distracted. And I played like I think this time around after the break.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to ask you is like, we all know how nationals went in the One Piece community, and if someone's watching this that's not part of that community, it was kind of a terrible event in the way it was ran. Like everything was behind, everything was just moving so slow. And then the second day, we had to wait for like the tournament stage so you guys could play your final because you finished second here in North America. So how did you use like your Nats experience for your Worlds experience there? Because like we said, that was 5 rounds of Swiss and then into a Top Cut. You knew you were going to play a guy that you had already beat in Swiss. So how did you handle that?
Yeah, so like the biggest thing is like I mentioned, like I got cold, I got like groggy and kind of like sloth like because I like ate a big meal after my break. Usually for tournament, I try not to eat too much because you get, I don't know, you get really sleepy, you get the itis or whatever. So this time, like I ate a small meal. Like I made sure my friends were really nice to me. They came along and they were asking me about my food. I was like something really light, like a sandwich or something it wasn't too full. To make sure I'm still my A game. And the other thing is just kind of making sure that you're still kind of in a competitive mindset. I think after nationals, before finals, like I took a nap, like I was going to sleep. I was just walking around, like doing nothing really, and kind of felt like I was just not even playing a tournament anymore. So I made sure not to do that again.
Yeah, and that can be tough. I know for me personally, like at Nats, we had to be there around 9 a.m., they said, and we didn't start play till 2 p.m. And I know that messed me up personally. I remember I even went to a bar just
Yeah, you went to a bar, you told me that.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy's crazy.
And it was just to pass time, something to do. And these tournament organizers, when they're able to really fire off for tournament, you notice a difference, Like I'll shout out Top Cut for a second here. They always do like such a well-oiled machine of an event. And it really does make a difference. But back to Worlds, it's like you took that what you had learned at Nats and applied it to Worlds. What also would you say was a advantage for you going into that top cut? You've been in a lot of top cuts this year. You've been in a lot of finals. Um, what were you able to apply to that Worlds? Like, what gave you confidence?
Yeah, so usually when you're in Top Cut, I can kind of like think I have an edge on other people because I played a lot of Top Cut. I played a lot of like final rounds or like, undefeated rounds where you have like a lot of pressure is on, basically
Hmm.
single elimination. But at Worlds, like everybody there has gone through a Top Cut. That's how they made it there in the first place. So everybody there had like kind of Top Cut experience. So I didn't have that going for me anymore. The only thing I had going for me was kind of, I guess, flexibility. That's something I really pride myself on as a player. And there's a big regional difference between how they play the game. Like the Asian people play it differently, the Europeans play differently.
Yeah.
Like everybody plays differently. And it's up to you to kind of adjust to how you think they're going to play. So like I watch a lot of film on like Japanese players, on European players, and that's kind of like what I took and tried to apply when I played against that particular person. And it worked out pretty well. I think I went undefeated against every other region besides Singapore region, which there isn't a lot of footage on, so I couldn't watch a lot of that. And
Hmm.
then on top of that, I lost to a person that I played against. So at that point, we were kind of used to each other already.
Yeah, and your match against him in Swiss was actually an incredible game. I really enjoyed watching that. I
Thank
think
you, thank you.
I don't know how to enunciate his name, but
I
he
think it's
was
Herboye.
okay. Hervoye. And he finished second at the Europe Nationals. Um, so I mean, obviously an incredible player in his own right, and did a great job to get that second. But the one thing I'll say is, what was your feeling going into top four, knowing that it wasn't best of three till finals?
Yeah, I think like after I got second seed after like the Swiss, I was like, okay, well, the one saving grace is maybe I'll get the top seed and get to choose who goes first because that's what happened at the North American Nationals. But the Japanese rules are different. It's just even if you're a high seed, it's just a dice roll to the end. So we rolled the dice, and so it's basically we're playing another Swiss round. There's no advantage to anybody or anything.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, I could have just been fourth seed too. I didn't did try so hard for second seed.
yeah.
But yeah, I ended up losing that dice roll. Ended up mattering because I feel like that's contributed to the loss as well.
Yeah, it's a big deal in that soccer mirror too, first and second, as we all know. And
Yeah, and but it's only fair because I went against second against Evan Swiss, so it's only right
right,
that he gets to go second against me in top 10.
right. But I just think the missed opportunity there as a tournament was not to do that round best of three. The stakes are so huge. Like it's crazy to me that you would do a top four, not best of three there. Because I know when I played at Worlds for Pokemon, this is way back, long time ago when I was like 15 years old. We were in top eight, and I was playing against, I don't know, some kid from maybe like Denmark or something. Like I've never seen his game before, know nothing about play styles from wherever he was from or anything like that. And if my matchup was not best of three, I wouldn't be able to take the first game and try to learn how he plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like how LeBron James plays in basketball in a best of seven. He doesn't care about game one. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I had a similar feeling. Back when I played Digimon, which was my first card game, it was best of three, and I felt like I always lost the first game. But like
yeah.
I always like reverse swept it because I got used to how they play.
Well, you're taking mental notes, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I understand that you played him in Swiss, but if you didn't even have that advantage, you wouldn't even get a feel for that. And I think when the stakes are as high as that, I think that's a little disappointing on Bandai for not making that the way it was. But I mean, you made the best of it. You went into your next round and you won the third place card. You want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, so I actually also thought that that was best of three too. I think I was the only one who didn't know. Like the announcers knew, like everybody in the audience knew, like everybody at home knew. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
best of one apparently. So when I lost dice roll, thinking it was best of one, I was like, oh, it's okay. If I lose this round, I'm gonna play a little bit looser, and then I'll try to, win next round if I lose this dice roll and win going second. But that game, I felt like I played pretty like on top of my game. Like I can't think of any obvious misplays. Like throughout the whole weekend, like I can identify some misplays mostly like in my losses. So that's probably a reason for those losses as well. But yeah, I think that game I played like really good. The first two turns, that combo I had with just Man Share turn one
Yeah.
and Branding turn two, I didn't even know about until like Fabian, the Europe number one seed, did it against me in round two. I'm like, this is a really cool move. Like, let me try it. And
Yeah.
like it made sense to me. So I'm like, let me try it, and it worked out. But yeah, that's like part of what I try to do. Like I don't know everything. I don't know every combo or everything. But I'm gonna apply what I learned and try to learn something from all the matches.
Yeah.
But yeah, that went pretty good. I feel like he kept dropping his cards. He might have been a little nervous, but I'm not sure. But he was like a great guy. Like, we added each other on Twitter afterwards.
No, that's awesome, man. That was gonna be my next thing. I know one of my favorite things from going to Worlds of Pokemon was like meeting all these new people, right? Seeing all these countries come for one sole purpose to be named world champ. You know what I mean? And connecting with
Mhm.
all these people from different walks of life. What was that experience in itself like for you?
Yeah, so that was like my number one goal. Like obviously winning was my number one. Number two was like getting to meet everybody, getting to talk to everybody because there are like regional rivalries and you want where you're reaching to do well, but you also like have a lot of respect for all these players. So like all these players I've seen on streams or heard about or see their results. Like I really wanted to get to know them, talk to them, maybe exchange contact info, and then we're not going to play each other for the end of the year, so we can actually talk to each other and give each other, make each other better without hurting, I guess, our competitive advantage in our region. But yeah, everybody was really great. Like I hung out with Herboye, like outside of the venue, outside of the tournament. We like grabbed drinks and food. A lot of Japanese players, I added them on Twitter, Twitch. Oh, sorry, not Twitch, Twitter, and then the contact info. And
Hmm.
like, there's a language barrier there, but I had like Google Translate ready, so we just talk each other back and forth there. But
That's
yeah, it
really
was just a
cool.
great experience. Like everybody was really cool. Like there wasn't anybody that was just like a bad experience.
And that's good, right? Because you want like the best representing all these nations. So I think that's really cool. I think one of my favorite things about, you know, watching your gameplay this year and seeing your success was honestly how you've handled it. I think throughout all this success, you kept your head pretty high. Even when like there were some down parts, like I know, oh, what was it? OPO4. I don't think you like did the best in OPO4 compared to how well you did those first three sets and how in the future you were going to do an OPO5. But like you never lost faith, you never lost confidence. You always knew what you were worth, and you were pretty humble when you were on top as well. What goes into your mindset to stay that way?
Yeah, I guess part of it there is I really kind of take it easy. Like I treat this as a game first. That's why like I could try hard every tournament, play the best deck or play the best deck for me, and then try to get the prize cards all the time. But I'll play like fun decks. I'll play Nami. I
Yeah,
brought Big Yellow Big Mom to tournaments. Like it's a game first of all. So like as long as you're having fun and this is not kind of like a chore to you, then like you'll stay motivated. You won't be down on yourself when you don't do well. And then you'll like do better overall.
for sure. And that's one thing I was going to say too. During that OPO4 stretch, you were having some fun. I remember we were playing a lot of Nami during that time. And that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I think, a really fun deck. But
Yeah.
I think that approach that you just said, though, is really healthy. Just to approach it as this is a game. I'm here to have fun. Everything else
Mhm.
is just the icing,
Just
right?
gravy.
It's just gravy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the coolest thing for me this year in playing One Piece was like all the friendships I made, but so many cool people, including yourself. And I just think there's so much takeaway from card games that you can just gives you confidence in any part of your life, to be honest, however you want to use that confidence.
Yep.
And speaking to yourself, how do you remain confident in your ability? I know it's fun, but you still know you're a good player. You know what I mean? But it's a card game. There's ups and there's downs. How do you keep that confidence?
I guess one of the most important things is mentality. So when you're not playing tournaments or whatever, you're playtesting, when locals or whatever. I like kind of like infamously don't do that. I mostly just play tournaments. I watch a lot of videos. Part of it is because you kind of your confidence gets shot if you have like a bad day, a bad tournament, or bad playtesting. You go like
Yeah,
0-10 or whatever. And I feel like that's not healthy.
yeah,
Like I don't want to have my confidence like basically on a roller coaster depending on how well I do. So like I try like to limit the amount actually of games I actually play, like but still be involved with the game. Like I'll watch other people play. I'll watch videos or footage or whatever. That way I'm still kind of keeping the game like knowledge there, but I'm not kind of putting my worth on how well I'm doing that day.
for sure. And do you think your strategy this year of watching card games, like that being your main way of studying decks, studying players, studying even like turn management. Do you think that was one of your big contributing factors this year?
Yeah, I definitely think so because the biggest reason is that I didn't get burnt out. Like, if I'm not doing well, like you said in a format or whatever, like I can chalk that up to like, oh, I just didn't play as much as in other formats. Because I know I have a lot of friends who go through slumps who like aren't doing as well as they've done in previous formats, and that kind of like affects them mentally. They like switch decks all the time. They have to find the right deck for them, and it makes them lose confidence even for like just a little bit. But like I don't think I really went through that as much or even at all. Like if I didn't, like I know that I can probably work hard and probably try to get it back. And like I didn't let it affect like when your confidence is affected here, it affects your everyday life or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Is like how this is a hobby, this is a game that's meant to be fun, but certain elements can leak into your real life. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think that's a really good point and a really good strategy because I know for myself, I started out really hot in OPO2 and OPO3, but I went through a slump in OPO4, and I just wasn't having as much fun with the game because I think I was a little burnt out.
Mhm.
Played so much just because it was so new and fun to me, but
Mhm.
it like even started feeling like a chore at times.
Mhm.
And it really wasn't until like OPO5 with like our playtesting group we had and really dialing back and only playing with like you guys. Like I didn't go to any locals in OPO5. I didn't do anything. I just actually kind of did what you did at work. I always have YouTube up and would watch videos, and I'd play with you, Cody, or Cross sometimes at night, and that was it. That was all the playtesting for Nats. But we would all talk strategy and or like what do you think is the best on this curve sometimes, and what do you think is the importance of that? Like seeing other players and talking about what they would do on like seven Don curve, or are you playing Pilaf or Hino? Why? Like, do you put credence to those things?
Yeah, I'm a big theory crafter. And like you said, if you're not playing, then the best way to do is talk about the game or watch the game. But yeah, like I always like talk to my friends about like specifically if I see something that I don't understand, like I ask them like if they have the same agreement or like I tell them my mindset, then like I either like affirm my thought on why that was a bad play or like I get my mind changed. But yeah, talking about the game has a lot of merits. Um, Almost just as much as playing the game and playtesting. And it's also like more time efficient. Like I can send a message and then get a response 30 minutes later, and that's fine. Like I'm not taking time like an hour out of somebody's day to do like a dedicated playtesting or anything. But I think it's definitely both. Like you definitely can't just do one or the other. You
Yeah,
just gotta balance how much you do.
for sure, because it is a hobby, and because for some of us, I mean, some of us are fortunate in card games to pretty much make it a full time thing. But the other rest of us, it's a hobby. We work 9 to 5s, go home, and maybe play some cards that day, maybe not. So I definitely think that's a positive, healthy approach, and especially the theory crafting point to the point you made. It's so quick, right? Like I can send a
Mhm.
message to you. Yeah, you might not get back to me 30 minutes, but it will only take up like a minute of your time to think about that, right? And
Mhm.
and you can collaborate better that way too. Like I know up in New York, you have two people that are really good, and Kevin and Chris that you can collaborate with a lot. And would you say that having them to play test with, or even them to bounce ideas off, helped you this year?
Yeah, not just them. Like they're obviously really great players. Chris is one of the ones I've talked to a lot recently. He actually tried to convince me to play Purple Ruby for nationals,
Yeah,
and I was close to doing it. He told me if he won two treasure cups, then I would have to do
he
it,
got
and he
close.
won one. Yeah, he won one and got in the finals together. So I
Yeah,
was like kind of nervous there. But yeah, like they definitely helped me play test a lot. Not just New Yorkers, like everybody I've met throughout the country to like people from California, like yourself from Florida, and like a lot of different people that you can just message on either Messenger or Discord or something. But yeah, like a lot of people I've talked to, and especially when they found out I was going to Worlds, like offered up their time and their opinions, basically anything to help me. Like I really felt the support of both my testing group, my friends, and all of North really. Like even people that I never really talked to offered up their support or like their offer to talk the game or help me in a certain matchup.
yeah, and that's super awesome to see and hear from you. And I know when we were talking before you went to Worlds about that, it was even like even though Jonas and yourself were competing, we're going to compete against each other even at Worlds. It's like You guys were still pretty cool about it, right? I mean, like you guys were talking strategy even and matchups and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to hide it from each other just because, we're kind of NA first and then individuals. That's kind of the mantra that we live by. So like after one tournament where he saw me on stream against him now, he was telling me, I asked him about like anything I could do better. And he told me like exactly like everything I needed.
Yeah.
So we were cool about that. Even before the tournament started, like when we submitted deck lists, like we told each other straight up that we're still on the same from nationals. So nothing hiding there. Like he's a cool guy as well.
Oh
I'm really
yeah.
glad he was also there as representative.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things is that we got to send you two both to Japan due to your guys' awesome performance at Nats. And the fact that you both took that approach, I just think is awesome. I mean, NA first, so many people were excited to see you walk away with third place and do that. It sucked that you guys actually had to play each other in Worlds. The odds of that are
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, we were like when they're calling out the tables for table like for round three or
Hmm.
whatever, we kept hearing them call all the X ones except for us, so that we knew actually that we were gonna get paired up together. It's cool that it was at least streamed. I feel like the way they chose the stream matches were great. They had a lot of stories behind them, and it's not just like the undefeated. So like, it sucked that we don't get each other, but at least we were able to put a good game on stream. And like I think his sixth place finish was like even more accomplished than mine. To go through like his matchups and his bracket with like all the bad matchups and still come out sixth place, like one of the highest X2s.
Yeah.
I thought that was like super, super respectable.
No, he still performed great. I mean, you're talking about the best in the world essentially, and you're getting sixth place. You're doing better than half the field. So I definitely think there's a lot of credence to what he performed, to how he performed, and what he was able to do. One other thing I wanted to ask you about though was, is there anything you do to prepare for like I know a treasure cup, for example, you just might try to have fun. You might try to go for a little hardware. But when it's Nats or Worlds, is there anything you do like the night before or the morning of? Like, do you hit the gym before? Is there anything you do to try to get an advantage?
Um, I guess nothing to take an advantage. Like I am kind of a superstitious person, so I do have some kind of superstitions to try to do by. Like one thing is like not eating a big meal. The other thing is I realize like having an energy drink like a Monster has done wonders for me. Like every time I have one, I feel like I do really well.
Hmm.
And it's kind of a joke that like my Monster ran out by the time North American finals came out,
Yeah.
and that's why I did really bad. But yeah, I had to make sure I had that. Other superstitions is like I changed my sleeves like the night
Oh,
before
me too.
to like new
Hmm.
sleeves. Um, yeah, that's really it. Those are just some like basic superstitions I have. Also, I guess another one is that like I really don't like people telling me that like I'm like gonna like win the next thing or win the whole thing because I feel like every time that happens, I lose the next round.
Yeah.
And like some people do it accidentally. Like in the tournament when I'm like 7-0 or treasure card, they're like you're gonna win the whole thing, then I'm losing the next two. But I just some superstitions.
No, I understand because I get the same way. All my sleeves have to be pink. I have to use new sleeves the night before. It's something I've done since Pokemon, so it's just stayed with me and never left. But I think it's funny, and I think some people will be comforted to know that even the best player in North America still has these superstitions. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that
I mean, like anything to make you feel better, like in case you lose. Like I like that thing about people saying I'm gonna win the whole thing. Like I know it's my fault if I lose anyway, but I have something to blame, and like I will feel as bad.
Oh yeah, 100%. And while I've got you here, I want to see what do you think about the newest set coming out here? We get OPO6 pre-release starting now. Are you excited for this new format?
I'd probably be a lot more excited if I didn't already know that Saka's gonna be something really great and that I'm gonna
Yeah.
end up playing it anyway. But beginning of format, I'm definitely gonna try other things. There's so many cool decks like Reiju, like Yamato, Moria. Like I'm excited for like how much leaders are supposed to be viable. Whether they are or not, we'll see. But at least the beginning of set, there'll be a lot of crazy decks. You see a lot of cool things in Taka, and it won't be just the same thing over and over again. At least until a couple weeks into the format. But yeah, really excited.
That's awesome. Are there also any other card games you're trying to play? I know we got Fusion World that came out this year. Star Wars comes out tomorrow. It just seems like everything has a card game now, and like One Piece just came out last year, but it did so well. The secondary market's huge. Collector base is huge. Is there any other card games that have caught your eye, or are you just sticking to One Piece?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Fusion Wars definitely is one. This is another midnight game, and I really like midnight games. I held off on playing it until after Nationals and after Worlds because I know that once I start playing it, I'm just gonna keep grinding it to
Yeah.
get better. So I only started playing it yesterday when I got back after 2 days. Another game that like it's not really a card game, but it's kind of an online game is Shadowverse.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't play the original Shadowverse, but I played Evolve, Shadowverse Evolve, which is the card game version, and it was probably one of the funnest card games I played. It's like a very simple mechanics, like similar to Arcana, similar to like Hearthstone, but I never played those. Oh, I played Arcana, but not much. But Shadowverse is coming out like a second version. It's like a mobile or digital version, and I'm gonna try that out. That's gonna be fun. But other than that, I don't have plans to play anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like Fusion World as well, so I'm gonna be dabbling with that. But no, that's cool to hear that you're still like open to playing other card games despite all of your success in One Piece. Like you're still just looking at it as like you said, I'm gonna have fun. These are just my hobbies, and I just want to do whatever card game's fun or whatever's even fun for that moment, whether it's play Nami or play Sakazuki.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play some weird Nami in like OP6 as well because it gets better. Actually, when I went to Japan and we went to OP7 locals, Nami was a deck I chose. And that was fun. Like even though I went like 2-2, like I had a lot of fun playing the deck or like having a lot of fun with the opponents who didn't see like or who didn't know
Yeah.
they knew Nami did. So that was really fun.
Yeah, and I agree. That's just such a fun deck. But Jackson, I just wanted to say thanks for being my first episode on this, and thanks for giving us your time. I hope people listen to some of the things you had to say because I think there's some good insight there, especially about like the mindset to card games. Because there is a healthy balance to taking it seriously and having fun and not like putting too much emphasis on it. I think you play your best when you're relaxed.
Yeah, for sure. No, I can't say enough. It's card game first, so you gotta have fun, and then everything else comes second.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say or any shout outs, man?
Yeah, I mean, just shout outs to yourself for having me here, like, on your first episode, which is really cool. Shout outs to like all my friends and playtesting partners, which coincidentally also includes yourself. Also like my friends, like our little playtesting group here called Grand Line, and always to my loving fiance, lets me do kind of things and go away to Japan for like a week and hold it for them.
Yeah. No, I understand that last one. My wife puts up with me playing all these games, so pretty lucky for that. And I understand you feel that same way. So that's awesome, man. I really do appreciate it. And Jackson, once again, congrats on third place. Hell of an achievement, my friend. And,
Thank you.
really can't wait to see what you do next, homie.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
All right, later, Jackson. Bunch of good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and just let me know what you guys think of this content and what you guys like to see going forward. I plan on interviewing a lot of my friends that I've made over the years playing card games, trying to get into the mindset of the player and breaking down even strategies or things like that. So this was just kind of a welcome episode, just an easy talk, kind of like a sports talk show with Jackson there. So we're definitely going to try to have that kind of vibe, and I appreciate you guys watching and tune in for the next one.